Justin and I are not home. I'm in Sedona, be cooking up some injury takes. Got the big slate today. A lot of injuries out there. Justin, how you doing?
Good, man. Glad to be a part of the show, and yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of news. Stuff coming up this morning too that changed all things too.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. We had some guys that were questionable that became in, outs that became questionables. So as usual, we're going to kind of break it down based on kind of the impact and not necessarily like how unsure we are, but just based on like how big the players are. So we're going to start with Jokic. It looked like he had a shot to play in Portland. He warmed up without a brace, and it looked like he was going to go. One of the Portland beats had mentioned he was doing like a late conditioning drill and kind of led us to believe he wasn't going to play. So he should be really close. This was 2 days ago. He's had 2 more full days to rest. He's been out for 8 days with this wrist thing. Mentioned the no brace. Got to feel like he's coming back. Bones also doubtful. Are you with me? You think that Jokic makes his return against the champs at home?
Yeah, the line got steamed a ton off that news leading in that he was warming up without a brace, and I think it was actually a Blazers beat writer or the other side that had that he went through conditioning and that
Yeah, it was
didn't
Jay
look like he
Allen.
was gonna. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, you mentioned like he's been off for a full week now, so looks pretty close. Without the brace, he did parts of shoot around, which is a little concerning last game. I thought he was a little bit more full, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back today.
Yeah, should be. So that would be cutting down probably Jermichael Green more than anybody else. We know they like Jeff Green. They're going to want rebounding. And they don't have PJ Dozier. So losing that, that's
Yeah,
huge. Obviously Dozier's not really impactful for fantasy, but just that minute workload and having Malone calls him his South Carolina Army knife, like a Swiss Army knife, because he does so many things for them. But
yeah,
that's a huge loss, man. So without Bones, like there may be some pretty condensed rotations in that second unit. Like Will Barton, he's been off. He could really, really climb in. I think they went 2 games this week. I think they're off for a couple more days too. I think they play on. Yeah, I think they're off. Yeah, they're off for the next 2 days too. So they might really, really, really up minutes. Anybody else? Maybe you think you'd want to? Aaron Gordon. I guess. I think he's going to be a major, major foul risk guarding Jokic, though.
totally.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I
he's a
mean
little
this
dicey.
this 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 Bucks team has been playing really well as of late. I'm not sure I really want any piece of this Nuggets team,
Yeah.
especially if Jokic plays. Like Barton's usage rate has been awesome the last 3 games, 23%, led the Nuggets there. And you mentioned short rotations, he could still see a good a spot off the bench, even if, or actually at the 2 if Jokic even does play. So some interest there, but I don't really want to mess too much with this Buck spot. Even when their rim protection hasn't been as good without Brook Lopez, it's still not a great spot for me.
Yeah, it's been kind of trending up. I feel like based on
Yeah.
I keep seeing them like move up as I look through the matchups and stuff. So let's get to. I guess we just got LeBron news. Let's just hit that. Frank Vogel said he's expected to play, as is Anthony Davis, kind of as expected. They're going to list him as questionable for the ab thing for probably a little bit. We saw like he played center against the big Pacers, was like calling out coverages. It was like a virtuoso, classic LeBron performance. I think Vogel called it a performance for the ages because he just put the team on his back, hit big shot after big shot without AD. Much different matchup against the Kings here, which the Kings they want to play fast. They are, I think, 13.6 seconds in the last 2 Gentry games per offensive possession, which is ahead of the top-ranked Warriors. So they've been flying, as Gentry's been saying. And the Lakers play pretty fast too. But LeBron coming back, I guess, do you think they go big with DeAndre? Or do you think they go with AD at the 5? And maybe go with Timo Horn-Tucker, Avery Bradley with his little goose egg in the last game. We had an under on that. That was so good. But I guess what do you think on any sort of limitations for AD? LeBron's not going to. I don't think too much disagree. And then what do you think the rotation looks like?
Yeah, so the fact that AD wasn't on the injury report is really promising for me because they list him like habitually with any sort of ailment they can find. So he's on there all the time. So the fact that he's off an illness and wasn't on there at all is like really encouraging to me. I would lean that they would go small with Bradley, THT, LeBron, and AD, from 2 to 5. And we have 7 full games when the 3 have played together. I'm excluding that last game against the Pistons where LeBron got tossed and didn't play a full game. So in those 7 full games, AD 47.5 FanDuel points, LeBron 45.7, obviously Russ the big loser at 36.5. So still a good spot for AD. Like you said, the Kings have talked about going faster, especially now that Luke's gone. They should go faster. A team led by De'Aaron Fox should be up there in pace. Regardless, they've been slower, so there should be a good pace up spot for the Lakers. Really good game environment. Kings still 27 defensive rating. The last 5 games, I think they're 27 too. So they've been struggling, pretty much from start to finish defensively. So yeah, I really like the spot. AD or LeBron, which one do you prefer? Like I said, they've been within 2 FanDuel points per game of each other when the big three have played together.
I think I prefer AD. I just like the matchup better. The Kings can't rebound. You're potentially putting, which I guess we'll talk about in a second, Alex Len. We saw what Nurk just did to Len the other night. Like, my God, they just gave the ball to Nurk like every time. He had 14 points in the first 8 minutes, I want to say. So yeah, let's just get to that side. Do you prefer AD over LeBron too, or?
Yeah, I would lean AD just because he's not on the injury report. I mean, he definitely looked, limited by that illness when he did play through it. Definitely didn't look 100%. And yeah, if he isn't on the injury report at all, then that makes me, encouraged that he actually is, back to full health.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's got sick on the front end on Tuesday, so he's been, usually when he had a high fever, had that kind of, it's just like a cold. It sounded like to me. So, most people the 4th day you're cold. I feel like most people feel better. So I think it should be good. Let's just hit the King side of this. Got a couple big questionable tags. Harrison Barnes hurt his foot. X-rays negative. Gentry said after the game that it's not serious and sounds like he's going to be okay. Rashawn Holmes still has that eye thing. He was out in the last game. You mentioned Alex Len started and got wrecked by Nurk early in this game. Just on the Harrison Barnes side of this, freaking Bagley, man, hits the shot. He's hitting this corner 3 fadeaway to pretty much dagger it against the Blazers, who were kind of hanging in there. I thought the Blazers were going to pull it out, but Bagley dagger. Do you think if Harrison Barnes, I guess, what do you think the chances he plays? And then do you think they start Bagley right out of the gate?
Yeah, I mean, the comments from Gentry afterwards were promising on Barnes. That the doc is pretty optimistic that everything's going to be fine. So I'd probably lean a little bit more towards him playing at this point. Frank Jackson will play in minor news. Doesn't matter.
It's big news, man. We take his props all the time. So now we're probably going to take his props again.
We
take so much Frank props.
He couldn't hit a freaking 3 versus the Bucks. I was watching that game. Yeah, Saban Lee was vulturing Corey Joseph and hoping for some fan centers. But anyways, yeah, I mean the post game comments from Gentry were promising on Barnes. Doesn't look like it's serious. Looks like he has a good chance of playing. We saw without Rashawn Holmes is basically a committee. Alex Len played 17. Damian Jones played 18. Tristan played 12. So can't really go anything there. I think. I'm not sure they're willing to start Bagley right away. If Barnes isn't missing, I would say, my money would probably be they go smaller, maybe with a Buddy Hield or something and a 3-guard look. And then, but anyways, Bagley still plays a ton in that scenario if Harrison Barnes ends up missing.
Yeah, I think they'd probably still want to put Harkless on LeBron. And then, put Davion, they'll mix Davion in. I think Davion has a good chance to close. I mean, geez, did you watch that Blazers? He played. His defense was sick. They kept trying to screen him, and they couldn't be screened. It was some of the best defense I've seen on Damon forever. He couldn't get any looks.
If Russ hasn't lost enough in this spot with AD and LeBron back, he's gonna lose even more with Davion on him. Yeah. Would
you pay $6K for Russ? I mean, it's like that. I hate Russ right now.
His expectation is probably 33 FanDuel points or something, which is obviously not good. Yeah, you don't want to pay for that.
That sounds about right. And then Holmes, do you think they would go to Len again? We saw they close with Damian Jones. I mean, imagine closing with Damian Jones and Bagley. That's just bananas.
Yeah, I don't really think you can really trust anybody in this spot. I think they're just going to have 3 bodies, and whoever looks the best, they're going to roll with. Kind of hot hand, and that's really the way it should be. You're looking at these 3 options. It's no one really stands out, honestly. Damian Jones is playing well relative to his standards, so they went with him. But don't feel great about this spot for any of these guys.
Yeah, and shout out to Phan misspelling on that, but he's the brains and the eyeballs behind the underdog feed, which I don't even know how you do that so fast. But let's see here. Moving along. Anything else you want to add, Kings wise? Do you have any concern on Fox? He's kind of been down with the Halliburton stuff. I don't really.
Yeah,
kind of a great spot.
He played really well before he got tossed the other night. So,
Yeah.
things have been trending at like 30% usage, I think, last game. So, I think this is still a good spot for him overall. Like he's still more of a GPP play like he has been, just been oscillating up and down and a lot of variance. But, still a really great spot. The Pacers, the Lakers play super fast. And, I mean, we want to attack them at the rim too. So, this is a really good spot for him and his drive, like you would know.
Yep. Of course I would know. Yeah, they have the Lakers have about 37% of opponent shots at the rim. That's insane. It's 11% more than the Warriors. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Warriors is insane at protecting the rim. Let's move on to the Raptors. OG, this is another rematch game. They've played each other. This is the third time that they're playing the Pacers. It sounded like he was getting closer. We had that a while quote from Nurse last week, and they've been tagging him questionable. What do you make of the chances of OG possibly getting back out there?
Yeah, so on Sunday, he said that Nurse said that OG was getting better and showing improvement, and they were hopeful that he would be back on Wednesday, right? And obviously he didn't play on Wednesday, so makes me think that he's actually like fairly close, right? Like there really hasn't been a ton of info on OG besides that. I was like actually trying to dig this morning, trying to get a lean on whether he was going to play or not. I think it's probably closer to 50-50. It's like balancing the quote from Nurse recently versus like a little while quote from a bit back. So, it sounds like he actually does have a decent chance of playing this one.
Yeah, it's a hit pointer. So those things are, like those contusions, you never kind of know. They're not like it's just one day it just kind of feels better. Unlike, hamstring strains and things like that require kind of weeks apart away. We'll talk about Jalen Brown's hammy in a minute. But, I mean, Fred VanVleet freaking killed the Grizzlies. They just ran pick and rolls with him like the whole second half, and they couldn't stop him. And I would think they do it again, regardless, against the Pacers. And he had pretty good numbers, even with OG out there. So I think if OG doesn't play, I think Fred VanVleet is going to be a very, very, very Fred VanVleet-centric offense. Anybody else? Do you think they would go bigger? They don't have Ken Burge. That's noteworthy. We saw Precious Achiuwa had like the most flamethrower third quarter, and then like nothing else. I would assume Precious starts if we don't have OG again, right?
Yeah, they'd run it back with Siakam and Precious in that front court for sure. And they played a pretty tight rotation without those guys. I mean, I think Spee was the only reserve that played over 15 minutes on Wednesday. So should be tight. I like Scotty Barnes in the spot if OG sits. I think he's been successful in this matchup before, and the way that the Pacers guard the perimeter, I think they allow like the second fewest wide open threes. They've been really good limiting attempts overall. It's not that great for Freddie VanVleet, so just kind of lean more towards the interior in this one, and like Scotty Barnes there if OG sits.
Yeah, I think Barnes could really, really smash. It was funny. Like they asked, like I want to say 3 pressers ago, they were saying like, how do you feel about Barnes playing so many minutes? Like, yeah, we want to play him more. Like, okay. Definitely. Like, it doesn't matter who and we knew this so early in the preseason. Like we were like concerned, like back when he got drafted, like how does he play? They got Pascal coming, blah 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 blah. It's like, okay, we figured it out pretty quick that like this dude's gonna play.
And you look at their bench too, it makes a lot of sense that especially like they're not playing Dragic at all, like that bench is not that good. So like, and Nurse in the past he's played his starters heavy, so this isn't anything too surprising, honestly.
Yeah. Do you think because Boucher got pretty much dumped, but a similar spot against kind of a bigger lineup when they had Drummond, they played a lot of Boucher at the 4. So I don't know if that would be an option if they're missing a couple pieces. I mean, I still and such a big slate, like it's a tough to plug him in there.
Yeah, and they're getting Watanabe back, and he played well. They might ramp up his minutes a little bit more today. Yeah. So it's like really tough to trust Boucher, like knowing that their coach doesn't really trust him either.
Yeah.
And he has just a short leash just in general, just given how he doesn't rebound and he makes defensive mistakes that kind of get on Nurse's nerves. So like I get it. He could play a decent amount of minutes in the spot, but yeah, it's like this biggest slate. It's really tough to trust.
Yeah, his competition is just like so much higher this level. I mean, because he's competing with Barnes and Pascal right now. Like it's because they don't want to play him at center, and they don't want to play him against big centers, and they're getting big centers today. So yeah, I'm not really feeling him today. Some kind of interesting / lower level questionables. the Hornets listed Mason Plumlee as questionable, which is interesting. They went really, really small, and they do that a lot against the Wizards. They had those 2 games with is it calf, I think? Calf strain, if I remember. I have to check that really quick. Pretty sure. Yep, right calf strain. So, yeah, kind of in the dark in this one. He didn't close, but that's just because they went small. So do you have any sort of read on him playing? And then, I mean, that's like gets that first, and there's a lot of ways to approach this for how rotation's going to go.
Yeah, he hasn't missed a game this year, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. This is his first. Yeah. I think this is his first Q tag.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you would think they might go towards that Bridges at center lineup a little bit more, but that's really tricky in this spot against the Wolves and Cat. I mean, he could really go off, have a massive game if Plumlee ends up missing. They just don't have any size, right? So, and this is one where if Plumlee ends up missing, I'm gonna look at the over here just because there's just going to be a lot of scoring both ways. Nobody's going to be able to guard Cat, and then the Hornets with that smaller lineup are going to try to push the pace, with Kelly Oubre especially, and they're just going to, try to kill him in transition and run and gun, right? So, I mean, I would think they would go with a smaller lineup, when, McDaniels, Oubre, and Bridges. But yeah, what do you think about this spot for the Hornets if only this is?
Yeah, so I mean that lineup I just kind of alluded to was pretty much LaMelo / Rozier, and then they go Cody Martin as their primary point of attack defender, Oubre, and Oubre destroys in these lineups. He really puts up big numbers. Miles Bridges at the 5, and then Jalen McDaniels at the 4. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I forgot to put this in matchups, but if you look at. So I got to pull up Cat. Cat has been wrecking the big bigs. He's torn up JV twice. He ripped up Ayton, Lakers front court, and then against the smaller teams, he doesn't do as well. So honestly, Plumlee not playing isn't I think they might go small. If I'm that, I'd rather just play smalls. Let him try to bash you inside, but he doesn't really do a lot. He's kind of just takes the ball on top and attacks that way because he's got such a great first step for a big man. So. I think either way, like you said, I don't know how Cat doesn't smash. And just another note I found in matchups too, there's a pretty good correlation pace-up games and Ant's usage. So we saw what he did last time when he played the whole fourth. No Beverly, we'll talk about. Let's just tie that. We'll tie that in now too. But yeah, I don't know. I still think Oubre would be. I haven't checked his prices yet, but Oubre's cheap. I'd be looking at him. PJ Washington he wasn't asked about it. Briga wasn't asked about him only getting 6 minutes. Did you? I didn't see anything. I've been kind of not as in tune as I usually am. Did you see anything on PJ?
I didn't see any quotes. I'm assuming they're ramping him up after a long layup. So I mean, the answer, normally they love PJ Washington at center, but if he's only capped, I think I would say a reasonable expectation here, given he played 6 minutes, is 12 to 15 in the second game, right? I think even if Plumlee misses, I don't think they're going to get him up there, that dramatically after just playing 6, right? So yeah, Kelly Oubre. 4,200 on DK, 5K on FanDuel. That's a really good.
That's a good price.
If Plumlee ends up missing, and this is probably right up with the Kings and the Lakers. That's the best game environment on the slate. Especially if Plumlee misses, and you're going to see a lot more smaller lineups from Charlotte's side. Definitely.
The Wolves actually had the first in half-court defense, but it's partially because people just miss threes against them. I think their starting unit is it's 18% or something absurd on 3-point percentage allowed.
It's like the Knicks of last year, where the regression has hit hard for the Knicks defense this year, right? And then you're probably going to see a little bit from the Timberwolves over the course of the season.
Yeah, and they're also leaving guys open. So let's just stick with this game and talk about Patrick Beverly. He's out for a couple of weeks, which I was surprised to find out that their defense has been better without Beverly. It's been close. But their offense with Beverly has been absurd. It's 122 offensive with the big 3 guys. The big rotation change was Malik Beasley picking up a lot of minutes there. Do you expect Beasley just to start out right? And who else do you think would kind of benefit?
So Finch said this morning that he would prefer to keep Beasley in that second unit. So I don't expect him to start. So I guess process of elimination, you would think it'd be McDaniels that starts.
I think it'd be Prince.
Oh, you think it'd be Prince?
I think they like McDaniels off the bench.
Okay.
But I mean, it doesn't. I mean, given who they're going against with Hayward and Bridges, it'd be nice to kind of have those 2 long defenders out there. So I guess you're probably right. Now I think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I would guess McDaniels, but it wouldn't surprise me with Prince. But either way, I don't think Malik Beasley starts, but I don't think that should get you off of him at all. I think he'll still play a ton no matter what. We saw, last game, especially that second half, he had a big second half. They leaned on him pretty heavily, right? So, when you're substituting Malik Beasley in that lineup for Patrick Beverly, obviously there's a bit of a usage discrepancy there. Given what you've seen so far, does that affect the big three at all? Or are you still good with Cat and
I'm still good.
Yeah,
there'll probably be more ball handling for D'Lo. The stats haven't really reflected that he has like better assist numbers with the on-off stuff, but I mean, D'Lo's looked a little better the last couple because he's just been chucking. Like he's been so inefficient. He doesn't have any interior stuff. So I thought like the last couple games he's driving a little bit more. But like I think it's honestly better for Ant, especially with like the minutes like were insane. Like 43 minutes in that game against the Heat. Did they beat? Is that a? I know it was B2B for Miami. Didn't they play the Pelicans the day before too? Am I tripping?
Yeah. No, they didn't.
No. Okay.
No, it wasn't. There's a back-to-back for Miami.
From Miami, yeah. But I mean, that's just crazy. Like I said, he had that great quote. He said, I played those last 12 minutes like they were the last 12 minutes of my life or whatever. It's so good. That dude's a quote, man. I love Ant so much. He's so fun. Ant would be, like I said, I think Ant, like I said in matchups, like Ant or Cat, like I want one or both. Like I think like the hot at rim stuff, so they allow threes. Like they don't have really great defenders to put on him right now. So I think Ant could just totally smash.
Yeah, I love this game environment. So if you're stacking this game, we love LaMelo, and we've seen the minutes get up there. I think 34 plus in 6 straight before last. I need to check that. But
before he had that going, it was like I think it was like 6 straight, and then he tried that little dunk off the bounce against the Magic, and it got yanked out. But besides that, he's been really playing high.
As he should have. That was pretty.
Come on, that was so bad. I was like, oh man. But,
So yeah, I mean, losing Beverly helps, his case too. So, how do you feel about we talked about Oubre. Any other Hornets you're really liking?
I like LaMelo.
Yeah,
and LaMelo was underpriced the last time, but I think he's in a good spot. Losing Beverly is good for him because they usually put Beverly as their like main on-ball defender guy, and he's been pretty good in that role. So the numbers don't say it, but like from a guard perspective, I think it could be, a big LaMelo spot, despite the Wolves defense being really, really good. And LaMelo is just chucking. I don't really like it for Rozier, just because I mentioned the stats are definitely misleading, but it's not like they're allowing a lot of volume either. So like they're defending him pretty well. There's a lot of noise in that horrendous sub 20% stuff that I talked about, but I mean they're playing good 3-point defense. Oubre, like I mentioned, Oubre makes a lot of sense to just go small.
I like Oubre.
And just to get back on Washington, I think he practiced like a week ago. So like for him to be limited like that was really surprising to me. I think it was just the way the flow of the game, and like Borrego, like when they first played the Wizards, they went crazy with that lineup I mentioned with the Oubre, Jalen McDaniels and stuff. Oh, McDaniels Bowl, forgot to mention that.
There you go.
But you got to start Jaden now. But I think Washington's minutes are kind of safe. Is he cheap? We'll talk about later in the show. But
so if you think Plumlee, if Plumlee misses, what would you put Washington's minutes range at? I mean, I think that's a pretty wide range.
Yeah,
to try to nail down.
He's got to get to 20, man. I feel like he's got to get to 20. It's an elbow. Like it's not. He's been conditioning, I'm sure. So I think if we were doing it, I wonder what the guys put him at. But I think. If he's out, I think 20 is a good number. Yeah. Like his his worst case would be what, 16, I'd say.
Yeah.
And then the high end would be 28.
I don't know if that's you just have to play him. Like you're so short on bodies,
Yeah. He should be fine. I mean, it's a freaking elbow, and he was like doubtful for like the front end of that, and they started ruling him out. And then I don't know. He's been out for a little bit. I think he could. I think I'd put him at like 21 if I was doing minutes.
Yeah, I think right now I'd probably put him like, assuming Plumlee plays, I think he's still limited like 8 to 12.
Yeah.
Like I put him,
if Plumlee plays, then he'd probably be like 13.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, I think we said it all there. Moving to the Utah Jazz, we've got Royce O'Neal, questionable. What's your read on him?
Yeah, so he he tweaked that ankle last game, right? And he went to the locker room because I tweeted out. I saw it happen. He tweaked it, and he literally came back, and he came back to the bench and checked in like a minute or two later. So at the time it appeared very minor. I'm like, why did he even tweet this? Like I was tilted because he literally, that happens quite a bit. Like a guy like limps the locker room and comes back right away. So just judging from that, I would say it appears to be relatively minor, unless it like swelled up on him or like got significantly worse after the game. Like he played on it, it looked fine. So I would lean towards him playing just because of that.
Yeah, I agree. But it's been, I don't know. He's because that happened to Lowry and he missed. That happened to Garland and he missed. Like there's been times where
Lowry's older. They're looking to manage him. But yeah, I agree. It's possible. It's definitely possible.
Yeah, but I'm with you. I think he's definitely lean in. If he didn't play, do you think they just start Ingles? Like that's kind of their go-to move, and then they kind of keep Gay in that secondary role.
Yeah, and I think the biggest takeaway really, if Royce O'Neal misses, is you bump Brandon Ingram just a little bit on the other side, right? Because that's great like call. the biggest scare away. Because I don't really think it matters too much from a Utah side. Yeah, obviously Ingles will play more, but like the sneaky takeaway is like Brandon Ingram, just like his minutes and usage have already been obscene to begin with, and no Royce would be amazing for him in this slot.
Yeah, and JV has been kind of not wrecked, but he's been held in check by Gobert.
Yeah.
So based on the last couple of years of statistics, so I mean, if you're an offensive, I always say the old path of least resistance. I mean, then you just give it to Ingram every time, and like Green after every presser is like, he needs to be more aggressive. And Utah's got a great defense, but like there's been players who like can roast them with the perimeter because they just trust Gobert to make the play.
Oh yeah, so. They're vulnerable. You can beat them. I don't think they're like they're not like they're not like a spot where you're just auto fading by any means. Especially with a guy like Ingram, given his role. Like I'm definitely interested.
Yeah, and I guess
if O'Neal's out.
Yeah. I was just going to hit Davonte Grimm really quick. He's not an injury report, but 21 minutes. He was talking to the trainer for like a couple minutes in the first quarter. He just returned from a foot injury. And then like last week, he like woke up with his foot hurting. So, and it's also worth noting, he had a cap before that foot injury too. So that's one thing. And then it's Herb's going to be starting. Like we've got to assume that. Willie Green said that he was starting that Garrett Temple, Satoransky lineup because they were 3-15 and they have to do something that works. So pulling out a win in convincing fashion, you think Herb starts?
Yeah, just so bad that Satoransky, Garrett Temple backcourt. My God.
Yeah, dude.
But I will say Nikhil's been playing really well off the bench. I think maybe suits him a little better just overall. Like his production's been pretty solid, and if he can, like that stat line right there, like he's pretty good. 24 minutes off the bench.
Yep. Moving to Orlando. Where are they at? There they are. They get the Bulls today. We've got Terrence Ross back pulled up, kind of like Will Barton 2.0. Like all of a sudden was supposed to play, then gets ruled out as his back tightens up. Gets the Q tag here. I didn't get any much of a read based on Jamal Mosey's comments from his pressers. Anything that you have on him? I always say like back injury. Some days you feel great, some days you don't feel great.
Terrence Ross went through shoot around, which is good. So that's promising. I would say, guy go through shoot around, probably 65-75% chance to play. So lean back in towards him. Yeah.
Yep. And then probably without Cole Anthony, I was surprised he got the Q tag there because he got a week ago. Mosley said he was kind of without a timetable, kind of confirmed it again. So we'll probably see the same starting lineup. And another interesting quote here, going against kind of a smaller Bulls team besides Vooch. Mosley basically said, like, I don't care about small ball lineups. I'm still playing big guys. So that was really good to hear for Wendell Carter and Bo Bamba. The Bulls are pretty vulnerable inside. They get a lot of shots at the rim. Wendell Carter Jr. revenge game number 2 had a pretty good game against them last year. So I think those big guys can kind of come through here today.
Yeah, that's definitely where I'd attack. And I will say, though, that without Cole, obviously there's a lot of usage that opens up. But it also means that this Magic offense is pretty abysmal. And you talk about efficiency differential. Cole has been top 5, top 6 throughout the season. I mean the Magic are a drastically different team with him than they are without him. And their offense is 19 points per 100 possessions better with Cole in the court than without him. And it makes sense if you watch that team. And Jalen
Yeah.
just kind of isn't ready yet to take those reins. He's been very inconsistent just overall. So I would say, yeah, I mean, you're going to get bigger pieces of the pie, but that pie is just going to be a lot smaller because you're going to score less than 100 points in a lot of these spots, you know, especially against a Bulls defense that is really solid overall. Vulnerable on the interior, but yeah, you know, like where you at? Would you have, like, Jalen Suggs last 3 games without Cole has led the Magic in usage ratings at 31.6%. You know, any interest in him in this spot against the Bulls perimeter defense?
Not a great spot, but yeah, if he's gonna chuck, and I'll push back a little bit on the Cole stat because a lot of that is because those Bucks games they just got. I mean, could you pick a worse team to go against? You know,
True.
So I'm with you that like it was like really much a grind, and their offense was just a mess, and even the non-minutes before too. But I think they could kind of hang in. You know, it helps that they're home. I mean, they hung in there against the Hornets the other day without him too. So
they scored 99. That's what I'm saying. They're not going to put points. Like they're going to win defensive, like like stalemate. That's how they're going to win, right? They're going to win like 105 to 102 or something, right?
Yeah. And we'll see if Vooch looked terrible in his return. Yeah. Man. Like get found out against the freaking Rockets and lose. I mean, what a loss. But if Jalen Green's out, they're not playing today. But that's interesting.
Which of the two are you leaning towards, Wendell Carter or Mo Bamba in that front court?
I wrote Wendell. A little good revenge narrative. I think it's gonna have. I think it makes more sense to run more offense through him.
Yeah.
So I think he's probably better. I think he has a little more upside. But again, like maybe. Well, I think they're gonna chuck a lot of threes on them. So I don't think there's that many shot blocking opportunities for Bamba today. But he might still get a decent amount on Vooch.
Yeah.
But cool. I think we covered that. Moving on, D'Anthony Melton with the groin injury, and there's not much to say. We know that they're going to run a 10-man rotation almost regardless here. Do you have anything you want to add?
No, not really. I think we have a sample. We kind of know what they're going to do.
Yeah, I mean they ran 9 when they didn't have Brooks, which is like very, very un-Jenkins-like. But
Baines looked awesome in that game. Baines looked amazing.
Yeah, their defense is so bad though, man. Like I don't. They're last in like so many defensive categories, and I wrote this in matchups.
Yeah.
Like I said with Van Vliet, they ran pick and roll. I'm like, now you're getting Trae Young, Clint Capella pick and rolls. Like you're gonna get that all game. So Trae could wreck them today. Speaking with the Hawks, we got Bogdan. Man, this guy's head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Like now he's got a hamstring. He had like a knee, a foot, all these other injuries. Based on what we've seen, this questionable tag, you'd think he's in. I feel like there's been, I want to say the questionable tags have been like 10% outs with all these key tags thrown at them. So we think he's in, but you always get a little nervous with the hammies.
Yeah, I'll just say, just given his history, I think the Hawks, just in general over the years, have been a little bit more aggressive in terms of listing players on their injury report. Especially last year, they would list like 15 players as probable every game. Like Jesus, like just give me a break. I don't want to write all these probable verbs anymore.
Dude, when I did Roto-World, I mean, who is the most lamest all-day probable? If you better have the same answer as me, like the most lamest player that ever got probable tags all time. You better have this right.
Oh my God,
he's on Chicago. 2 years ago. White guy, point guard.
Who are we talking about?
I'm going to give it to you. Ryan Arcidiacono. He got the problem tag every day all season. I was like, I don't want to write this blurb anymore when I worked for Roto-World. But it was the worst.
We just stopped. I think we just started like status noting him just because we got so tilted. I'm like, this doesn't even matter. Like we're writing 50 blurbs on this guy. Like it doesn't even matter. Like we're just gonna status note him. Yeah, like I'm like so good at spelling Arcidiacono. Dude, well, you know what name I suck at spelling at? We're getting off topic. I spell Contavious like the dash and Caldwell Pope like gets me. Like I always like screw that up. Yeah.
But
the dash is messing out too for sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Totally injury relevant. But okay, so let's get back on task here. Bulls. A former Bull, Derrick Rose. He and another former Bull, Taj Gibson, and Mitch are questionable. Mitch has the concussion protocol. Tibbs said he wasn't cleared yet as of Wednesday when they practiced. He said that day-to-day for Taj and for Derrick Rose, I am leaning out on these guys. What do you agree with me? Anything else you want to add there?
Yeah, I would lean out too. So Tibbs said Mitch was still in the protocols and that when he clears it, obviously he'd play, but I think there's still a couple more steps for him to go through. So I would lean towards out for Mitch. Tibbs said Rose and Taj just did a little bit in practice on Wednesday, which has been promising. And then we talked about this the last time I was on the show, the day-to-day tag. The dreaded day-to-day tag from Tibbs literally means nothing because he's called players in the past day-to-day. They've been out for like a month. So literally means nothing to me. So I would lean that all three miss again. And we saw last game, Tibbs basically ran like an 8.5-man rotation. Quentin Grimes just got 5 minutes of playing time off the bench, and then just massive minutes for Evan Fournier. Alec Burks played 26. IQ played 22. Obi Toppin played 22. Randall 34. So
you're missing the big one, man. Noel 39. Like, are you serious?
Yeah. Nerlens. Yeah, I was gonna get to Nerlens. Nerlens 26 FanDuel points per game. In the last two, where Mitch and Taj have both missed and averaged 33 minutes a game. So he's obviously really interesting. We saw his minute ceiling against the Lakers. What do you think about the spot for the Knicks?
I love it. Actually, for Noel specifically, if those guys don't play specifically, well, both the bigs, the minutes are going to be there, and the Suns have really been wrecked by roll men. We saw what Jared Allen did to them last game, and I think they're last in the NBA in roll man points per game.
Yeah,
their starting lineup has been great, but it's all because their offense is so good. I think they're
Jared Allen cooked them.
He cooked them with a lot of putbacks, but he cooked them with more putbacks, but he cooked them on rolls. But it's a great spot for Noel. The Sun, it's such a misleading thing about the Suns defense, which I think you mentioned it on a show last year, because they were slipping in the second half. But yeah, I think it's a great spot. And then
really good game environment too. The Suns have been playing fast. So this is the first time in Chris Paul's career where one of his teams is ranked top 5 in pace. He's played 16 years, 10 of those 16 years, they're bottom 10. So this is a rarity for a Chris Paul team to be up there in pace. So they've been playing really fast.
Yeah, they've just fell from number 1 for offensive seconds per possession. The Warriors just leapfrogged them. But it's basically every day it's switching between them and the Spurs and the Warriors and the Hornets. It's pretty much those teams are clearly the fastest teams in the NBA. And I think Kemba, I flag planted Kemba on a show and he kind of flamed out. It was Fournier who went off, but not having Rose is big.
We saw Kemba only played 23 the last game without Rose. His minutes were still you see that without Rose, his minutes were still be shaking, and he's playing it. Tibbs is playing 8.5 players, and he's still only playing 23. That's it's a little worrying.
And they ran the Obi Toppin Randall stuff multiple times. Tibbs has said he likes it now that Toppin's a different player. They play fast with that lineup. Their bench is really good. I think this game should be pretty close in the Garden.
Yeah. So who's outside of Nerlens, who's your favorite Knick in the spot?
RJ's gonna have Mikal, so I automatically won't play him. I like Kemba honestly, but I just can't do it. And Fournier is so hit or miss. I might just bust out IQ,
Yeah.
Burks is solid. Burks is just solid. He's not going to totally smash, but he's so reliable for them as a rotation piece. He plays a lot of 3-4 with Barrett now.
This is where we're at with the Knicks, man, where you really can't trust anybody. They've been that bad, especially their starters. We have to go to the bench mob. Evan Fournier played 42 minutes last game. We still don't love him. And that says a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, the Suns are, they're pretty decent on 3-point defense. It's been inside stuff that's gotten them, but they're trending in the right direction. I think that covers that. Anthony Simons, nothing really to say. DSJ's in the rotation more.
Yeah. Yep.
Anything to talk about? I don't think so.
Nah, not really.
Yeah, we're way behind schedule. Spurs, we've got some out tags. Devin Vassell, Doug McDermott are not going to play. You're getting thin now. When you take those guys out of the rotation, definitely expect Keita Bates-Diop starting, even though it's not going to be the Time Lord. And we could tie this into the Celtics stuff together. But how many minutes for Keita Bates-Diop? How many minutes for Keldon? Do you think they play that at the 4, which they haven't really done all season? They did in the preseason. What do you make of that? That's a big hole to fill in your forward minutes.
That's huge. Vassell was really like the biggest beneficiary, like the rotation and even usage rise with McDermott. Like he played a ton. So like, him getting added with the quad contusion bringing out, that's pretty big. So I think they have to play Thad, at the 4. Like they've been running a pretty thin-ish rotation as is, just because they haven't had that many bodies. So yeah, I mean, who would you say is the biggest winner here from these injuries?
I mean, probably Keldon, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's so many ways. Because Keldon could get hurt. He's been hurt by Lonnie Walker. He's been hurt by Keita Bates-Diop. He's been hurt by McDermott. Like he's only. I mean, how could Keldon, besides foul trouble, like how could game flow cook him? It seems like he's got such a safe floor. 35 minutes in the last game. They're not going to go giant. Not having that double big lineup that Boston will have with the Time Lord stuff and Horford. That's a good thing for him too. So it kind of sets up pretty well. So I think him. And then, I mean, I can't play KBD, and I mean,
no.
I guess maybe Pirtle's minutes are like really, 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 really safe. So like maybe he's kind of sneaky way, but the Celtics are pretty good at stopping bigs. But
I think Pirtle. I think Pirtle's pretty underpriced on FanDuel. He's only 5,800, so I like him there. Yeah, Keldon's 5,300 there too. I like him. That's a really good price. So I mean, you can't really eat the KBD because, like, optimistically, you say he plays like 25 minutes, 28 minutes. I think he played 29.5. That's like his season high in minutes this season. But the usage rate is just really tiny. Like he's 12% on the season, I think. So like in a starter role too, he's going to be even lower than that. So I think it's probably Keldon. Lonnie Walker's 3,800 on DK. That's a good.
I would say him second. Yeah, his minutes should be really safe.
Yeah.
But he's so easy to fit. If he's chalk, I wouldn't be playing him because he could fail so quick. Let's see. So on the Boston side of that real quick, I just want to give some background on Jalen Brown. First of all, what the hell are you doing they had that Wednesday quote that they're ramping him up. Like, you ramp up hamstrings for a week. Like, that's the rule. And they brought him in early, and like now they're dealing with this crap. So he's going to play. They got the day-to-day tag. He'll probably get the game time stuff even though he's available. Minutes-wise, we saw back earlier when he was kind of coming over an illness, he played like 43 minutes against the Knicks or whatever it was. But like hamstrings are different. Like you can't play a guy 44 minutes coming off a hamstring unless like you have complete dolts running their injury department, which it sounds like they might, honestly. But what are your expectations on Brown, and then anything with the no Time Lord? Also, Josh Richardson's doubtful.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen was the kind of same thing. His minutes in his 2 games back, 23 to 24 minutes. So him to kind of remain in that ballpark, 25, 26 maybe today. Udoka said they're going to look to lengthen the stint over the next couple games. So I think they'll keep him on a relatively short leash and monitor his minutes. So his usage has been pretty healthy though. I think like 30+% in both the games that he's been back. He's been out there really involved. So I think we'll kind of see a little bit of the same from them.
Sounds pretty good. And then we covered. I think we said it all.
Yeah,
I think we did it. This is we got into this. We definitely went to some tangents, but always love talking. Gotta talk some matchup stuff. I mean, you and I are probably more obsessed with like matchup stuff than anybody. Anything? What's going on in the underdog streets? You guys running any cool promo? I saw you guys had that like $300 thing you're giving out yesterday.
Yeah, we matched $100 up to $100 deposits. Things have been going really well at Underdog. So just continue to follow us on the NBA feed and keep grinding, keep getting those news, getting that news out. Freaking Thanksgiving Day yesterday. We were just like all alone. Nobody was out there grinding. We were just putting out news alerts. So
that's the best.
Everybody else. Yeah.
Cool, man. So we're out of here on that. You guys enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend, and we'll catch you guys next week.